Hello and welcome to Life and Quotes, the podcast where we dive deep into ideas that inspire, challenge, and help us grow. I'm thrilled to have you with me today as we tackle a topic that touches every single one of us: change. It's something we all experience, and yet, it's often something we resist or fear. Why is that? And more importantly, how can we learn to embrace change instead of running from it? Today, we're going to explore these questions over the next hour, and I promise it's going to be a journey worth taking. We'll discuss why change feels so difficult, share stories from people who've navigated major life changes, and offer practical strategies for how you can approach change with a more open and positive mindset. Let's start with the basics. Why is change so hard? At its core, change is about stepping into the unknown, and as human beings, we crave certainty. Our brains are wired to seek out what's familiar and predictable because it makes us feel safe. When something changes, whether it's in our personal lives, our careers, or even in the world around us, it can feel like our foundation is being shaken. Suddenly, what was once comfortable and known becomes uncertain, and that can be really unsettling. But here's the thing, while change can be uncomfortable, it's also an essential part of life. Without change, there's no growth. It's what pushes us out of our comfort zones and into new experiences. It's what helps us learn, adapt, and become better versions of ourselves. So, if we know that change is both inevitable and necessary, how can we get better at handling it? Let's start by talking about the fear of change. It's a natural reaction. When faced with something new, our first instinct is often to resist. We think about all the things that could go wrong, all the ways we might fail, and it's easy to get stuck in a cycle of fear and worry. But what if, instead of focusing on the negatives, we started to look at change as an opportunity? I want to share a story with you about someone who did just that. Her name is Lisa. A few years ago, Lisa was in a job she didn't love, but it paid the bills and felt secure. She had a steady routine and didn't think much about making a change. Then, out of nowhere, she was laid off. At first, she was devastated. She didn't know what she was going to do, or how she was going to support herself. But after the initial shock wore off, she started to see this unexpected change as an opportunity to finally pursue her passion for writing. Lisa decided to take a leap of faith and start a blog. She poured her heart and soul into her writing, sharing personal stories, insights, and tips on navigating life's challenges. It wasn't easy. There were many days when she doubted herself and wondered if she'd made the right decision. But she kept going, and slowly but surely, her blog began to gain traction. Today, Lisa is a successful writer and motivational speaker. She says losing her job was the best thing that ever happened to her because it forced her to take a risk she might never have taken otherwise. Lisa's story is a powerful reminder that change, even when it feels like a setback, can be a stepping stone to something greater. It's all about how we choose to respond. We can let fear hold us back, or we can embrace the uncertainty and see it as an opportunity to grow. Now, let's take a moment to reflect on this idea of change as an opportunity. How often do we resist change because we're afraid of what might happen? How often do we cling to what's familiar, even when it's not making us happy, simply because it feels safe? The truth is, change is a natural part of life. It's not something we can avoid, no matter how hard we try. But what we can control is how we respond to it. So, how do we start embracing change instead of fearing it? The first step is to acknowledge your feelings. It's okay to feel scared, anxious, or even angry when faced with change. These feelings are completely normal. The key is not to let them control you. Allow yourself to feel them, but don't get stuck there. Instead, try to shift your focus to the potential positives. Let's break this down a bit. Change often brings about a sense of loss, and that's perfectly normal. Whether it's the loss of a routine, a job, or a relationship, it's important to acknowledge what's happening and give yourself the space to grieve. But once you've processed those initial feelings, it's time to start looking forward. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this change? How can this experience help me grow? By asking these questions, you begin to reframe the situation. Instead of seeing change as something that's happening to you, you start to see it as something that's happening for you. This shift in perspective can make all the difference. Another strategy is to take small steps. Change doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start by making small adjustments that align with the new direction you want to take. Maybe it's updating your resume, signing up for a class, or simply reaching out to someone who inspires you. These small steps can help build your confidence and reduce the fear of the unknown. Let's dive deeper into this idea of taking small steps. Often, when we're faced with a big change, it can feel paralyzing. We don't know where to start, so we end up doing nothing. But by breaking the change down into smaller, manageable pieces, it becomes less intimidating. For example, if you're thinking about switching careers, start by doing some research. Look into different fields, talk to people who work in those areas, and start to get a sense of what might be a good fit for you. Then, take the next step. Maybe it's taking a class or doing some volunteer work to gain experience. By focusing on one small step at a time, you can make progress without feeling overwhelmed. I want to share another story with you about a listener named Mark. Mark had been in a long-term relationship that ended unexpectedly. He was heartbroken and didn't know how to move forward. For a while, he resisted the change, holding on to the past and what could have been. But one day, he decided to make a change of his own. He started volunteering at a local community center, something he'd always wanted to do, but never had the time for. Through this experience, he met new people, made new friends, and even discovered a passion for helping others that led him to a new career. Today, Mark says that the end of his relationship was the beginning of a new chapter in his life, one that he never would have written if he hadn't embraced the change. Mark's story highlights another important point: the role of community in navigating change. When faced with a major shift, it's easy to feel isolated and alone. But reaching out to others, whether it's friends, family, or a support group, can make a world of difference. Sometimes, just knowing that you're not alone can give you the strength to keep going. Let's talk about the importance of community and support when navigating change. Human beings are social creatures, and we thrive on connection. When going through a significant change, it's crucial to surround yourself with people who understand and support you. Whether it's a friend who's a great listener, a mentor who's been through something similar, or even a therapist who can help you process your emotions, having a strong support network can make all the difference. But what if you don't have that support system in place? This is where building a community can come in. Look for groups or organizations that align with your interests or what you're going through. There are countless online communities and support groups where you can connect with others who understand what you're experiencing. And don't be afraid to reach out to people. More often than not, people are willing to help and support you if you're open and honest about what you need. Another aspect of embracing change is cultivating a mindset of resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to keep going even when things get tough. It's not about being unaffected by challenges, but rather about how you respond to them. One way to build resilience is by practicing self-compassion. Be kind to yourself, especially during times of change. Acknowledge that it's okay to struggle, to feel lost, or to make mistakes. Remember that change is a process, and it's okay to take it one step at a time. Let's explore the concept of resilience a bit more. Resilience isn't something you're born with, it's something you can develop over time. It's about cultivating a mindset that sees challenges as opportunities for growth rather than insurmountable obstacles. One way to build resilience is by reflecting on past experiences where you've successfully navigated change. What did you learn from those experiences? How did you grow? By recognizing your own strength and capacity to adapt, you can build confidence in your ability to handle future changes. I want to share a story about a woman named Maria. Maria grew up in a small town and had always dreamed of moving to the city to pursue a career in music. After years of saving and preparing, she finally made the leap. But life in the city was much harder than she anticipated. She struggled to make ends meet, faced constant rejection, and often felt like giving up. But Maria was resilient. She kept pushing forward, finding small gigs here and there, and slowly building a network of supporters. Today, she's a successful musician and credits her resilience for helping her overcome the challenges she faced along the way. Maria's story is a testament to the power of resilience. It's a reminder that change, while often difficult, can lead to incredible growth and transformation if we're willing to stay the course. As we near the end of our discussion today, I want to leave you with a few practical tips for embracing change. First, practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is about being present in the moment and accepting it without judgment. When faced with change, it's easy to get caught up in worries about the future or regrets about the past. But by staying present and focusing on what you can control right now, you can reduce anxiety and make more thoughtful decisions. Another tip is to stay curious. Instead of fearing the unknown, approach it with a sense of curiosity. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can this change help me grow? By shifting your mindset from one of fear to one of curiosity, you can open yourself up to new possibilities and experiences. Finally, remember that change is a journey, not a destination. It's not something that happens overnight, and it's not something you have to navigate alone. Take it one step at a time, be kind to yourself, and remember that every change, no matter how big or small, is an opportunity to learn and grow. Thank you so much for joining me today on Life and Quotes. I hope you found this discussion helpful and that it's given you some new perspectives on how to embrace change in your own life. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need a little extra encouragement today. And remember, embracing change is a journey we're all on together. Until next time, keep moving forward, keep growing, and keep living your best life.